In the book of Genesis, we read that God was raising up a priesthood of people to be priests to the whole world, that through them God would be a blessing, and ultimately that blessing would be that he would send his son to live a perfect life, who would die on a cross, be buried, and raised again, and then to ascend to the right hand of the Father. That's Jesus Christ. The people had a mission to proclaim the coming Messiah, the reconciliation of God, but they got a little squirrely. We read elsewhere in the New Testament that they were exiled for 70 years to Babylon. But God in his love and in his mercy and his grace brought them back to Jerusalem. But the problem is Jerusalem was not a desirable place to go. The city had been sacked, the walls were ripped down, the temple was destroyed. And so the only reason we can see them going is that God stirred in their soul and they were faithfully headed to an undesirable place to serve the Lord well. It was a hopeless place in need of hope, and they were the hope that God had saw fit to bring there. One of the individuals that went back in the waves of people was Ezra. And in Ezra chapter 7, verse 10, we read this. Now Ezra had determined in his heart to study the law of the Lord, obey it, and teach its statutes and ordinances in Israel. Every church that ever was once planted. We're not doing something unique. We're doing something that many others have done before us, and following in this long line of people with a mission. People who are to be a blessing to the world and to take the gospel to the ends of the earth. And if it worked well for Ezra, I suspect it would work well for us too. So at Redeeming Life, we exist to know, live, and proclaim the gospel. To know it, to understand it, to be immersed in God's word and what he's doing, to let it impact our lives, that it would transform us, and then to proclaim it to the community. At the end of the day, our primary goal is to be a church that would bring God glory and worship him and send many others out and continue in this promise that started all the way back in Genesis.